So if I need to introduce myself, I would say I'm a sound artist. And sound art is just about listening. So I brought some sounds. We will listen to the sounds through those loudspeakers. That's not a natural thing. Listening is really a natural thing. But sometimes we want and we love to have something artificial as an interface. And my work is a bit similar to this topic, about putting interfaces between things. So I'm using my computer, there's sound. And we will just start with it. Maybe you can close your eyes. It will be better. We're just listening to something for 3 minutes. Just heard is a assembly. It's a kind of village actually. The sounds come from France, from the center, very center of France. But I live, when I was born nearby the Mediterranean Sea, and I had a work to do in this region. And each time I go somewhere, I bring my recording equipment, microphone, recorder, headphones. And I spend time listening to what's happening outside. And what is happening outside is, of course, unpredictable. If you want to record the sound of a violin player, the violin player has a violin. He knows how to play. you go to the studio. In the studio, you have prepared something. And if you're the technician, if you're the recording assistant, you just gather these things under this room, which is under control. But if you go somewhere, like maybe on the small island of Hong Kong or in the forest of Taiwan, you don't know exactly what will happen. But for that day, I had a special aim. I heard about the sound of a frog, which is a bit rare, and I really wanted to go and listen to it. So I knew the name of the animal, Bombina variegata, that's the Latin name. And this Latin name is a key to knowledge. Because with the Latin name, I can ask to some scientist, some conservationist, where can I find this animal? I can Google it and find a kind of project which made a mapping of the animal species, the rare animal species of France. So then I drive my car for 100 kilometers, arrive by night on a very normal road of the countryside, enter into a forest that I didn't know, and then I have access to a kind of pool of water. And this pool of water is not natural. It's an old place where they were taking big stones for construction. And after it was abandoned, it was filled by the rain, and then some animals started to live nearby. And when I recorded that thing, that wonderful discussion between the animals, I just prepared my equipment and came close. And then all the animals shut up. They didn't want to talk with my presence. So I put my microphone carefully on stand and dragged very long cables, and then connected to my recorder, my headphones, and I started to wait alone in the darkness. And then this miracle happened. So I was looking at the stars, lying on the sand, totally alone in a place that I didn't know, and listening to the quiet. I want to play another sound. And the sound I will play is from Taiwan. So, again, close your eyes. So it's another village. I live and work in Taiwan since several years, and I've been working on different projects with different groups of people, and it was in 2009. I worked in the region of Jiayi, and Jiayi is in the south of Taiwan, just for collecting sounds of the region. And one of the things that I've been asked is to record the sound of a traditional practice with pigeons. So the people who are raising the pigeon in these villages, very big birds, very beautiful pigeon, very strong, they would make competition between villages. So the village A will bring that pigeon to the village B, and in the village B, they would release the pigeon. And then the pigeon which have been raised in village A will go back to village A, from B to E. From B to A, sorry. And those pigeons, they would put on their back a musical instrument, a kind of whistle. It's a quite big wood thing. It's very light, but of course for a pigeon it's quite heavy. And when the pigeon is flying, the wind is blowing on those whistles, and it produces these beautiful tones that you've been hearing in this recording. Then after, the villagers from the village B will go to village A, release their pigeon, they will go back to the village B, and then they will look at how long does it take to make these travels. And the fastest pigeon, the village will win. It's just a friendly exchange between two villages. So I've been asked to go and gather those sounds. But when I arrived to the village, they made a huge event. You couldn't even hear the sound of the street, of the road, because they had huge loudspeaker for playing music, and firecrackers, and some people speaking in microphones very, very loudly. So when they release a pigeon, you see those pigeons, but don't hear anything. And children were coming for attending the event, but it was so noisy because of the feeling of making something big and like a party. So I was very disappointed just to record this music, very loud and big firecrackers. But there was one old guy said, who was starting to talk, and he said, if you want to record, we can just go to my house, it's just nearby. So we just move away from these big events and just go to the normal house. And the normal house is, like in the normal countryside of Taiwan, is nearby the road, so it's noisy, but there are trees and birds in the trees. And then the guy just opened the door of the big cage, which are above the houses, and released the pigeon. And the pigeons are just used to go and fly around. So I just record that very, very normal and daily situation for him. And then he will raise a kind of flag in plastic that we can hear in the recording, like something indistinct, and whistle to call them, and the pigeon come back, and then close the door. So the most simple way to have this interaction. We are listening to another sound, the last one. And this sound is not exactly in the countryside, it's more in the mountains of Taiwan. And this sound is not just a straight recording. It's something that has been reworked, edited, mixed. So it's the result of a long process of work. We'll just play.
那是以前，那怎么说啊？很古老就是了，可是我们不知道是几代、几百年、几千年的事情了。 他就把它架起来，一个是架右边，一个是架左边，抓他的在那个手上哈，然后脚好像没有踏地，好像离地3尺这样飞，经过山谷又跳到那个山脊上，又下坡，经过了好几座山，好几座山谷，然后很远的地方就看到那个部落，就像他们的部落一样，可是他们的房子好像感觉比较矮，比较阴暗，因为没有阳光。结果他里面的人就那个很吵闹，他说：“哎，有一个不认识的人来了。”他们说：“我们有可以吃了。”他们要准备要杀他，可是那个头目说：“不要杀他，我们先试试看，那个从阳光下的人到底有多厉害。”他们就好，他们就这样同意了。然后，他说我们要去杀敌人哦。
We are just listening a small part of this work. This is an extract of a longer work, which is almost like 70 minutes. And this village is an Aborigine Taiwanese village, Atayal people, and we worked there for a sound project. But this sound project is not only about gathering, keeping trace of things happening, it's more about reviving things. And how we do that is go and ask old people to tell us a story. Take it, try to digest it, think about it, and play that recording to the children of the school. Children of the school, they are Atayal, Aborigine, but they mostly cannot speak really their own language, Atayal language. So there is a class for teaching them this language. But the sound of Aboriginal language is very different from the sound of Mandarin. So it's difficult for them. So we designed a kind of sound poem, only with the sounds that exist in their language, without any meanings. It's just a game, a sound game for playing with the children. And we try to propose to them to think, oh, you are the small monsters from this story, and we will try to do this monster song with those sounds. Then we asked to a musician to play the flute for us, and this flute is special because a century ago, when people in this village were in war with other village, the hunters, the fighters, will go and cut the head of enemies and bring back the head. And when they would bring back the head, they would play this flute, this very gentle melody, very sweet. So we asked to include that in our story and to play that to the children again. And behind there is a lot of environmental sounds, which are the sounds of the environment of the village that I also played for the children. So the project was collecting things, but immediately re-injecting it into the practice of this project. So these three examples are three examples of sound work. What can it be? It can be a very personal, subjective, and intuitive listening, and it must start like this. Being alone, leave the city, leave the crowds, go in a place that you don't know, in the forest of France. It's not dangerous, but still a bit scary by night. And wander around until you find something that triggers an experience The second is go and meet those people from this village in Jai, but don't trust the noisy events, the big things. You need to ask the people where is a good situation for going. Then he would take you to his house, and then you can dialogue, you can know more, and finally get some experience. And the third step was engaging and interaction and construction of something together. And that's how I want to finish. That's all.